Yeah, now it's going.
Are we already going?
Yeah, I just did it now.
What's the name of the book?
Hey guys, so today we are going to be talking about chapters 1 through 6 of Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Here I have my cousin. He's mute. His name's Ethan. He doesn't read romance.
So you're gonna say I can't read. I'm sorry.
Oh goodness. So I peer pressured him into reading. Okay, you're not that thirsty. I peer pressured him into reading a romance with me. What books do you like? What type of books? Like what genre?
I like sci-fi and fantasy, and I don't like romance, so I'm a little biased, but it's okay.
But how do you like Penelope Douglas? Because you've read her books kind of before with me.
I don't know. It's like watching The Bachelorette, because it's like you watch it because it's trash. I read it because it's trash. But for other people,
but it's like good trash.
Yeah, but for other people's like sci-fi and fantasy is their trash. This is my trash. So
yes, it's like your guilty pleasure. Like it's actually.
I don't read romance. This is not a pleasure.
Well, it is. You're gonna enjoy it. Penelope Douglas is so good. Okay, so over this last week we've read chapter 1 through 6, like I said, and I made sure that we haven't talked about it outside of this video, really, because I want all of like the opinions to be.
Yeah, she had a gun to my head every time I tried to talk about it.
Ethan, we live in Canada. We can't get guns. Okay, so what do you think about the book so far? Like, just your general thoughts.
It feels like I'm reading. Who wrote Everything?
Nicola Yoon, I think.
Okay, well, it feels like I'm reading Everything again by Nicola Yoon, because just the teenage plot is pretty similar to Everything in my opinion, just in that they're always written kind of the same, like trying to be a little bit relatable, like, I laugh at the quote he made to this movie that I liked, or I bet they don't even know it's a Woody Allen quote. And it's like,
yeah,
because I know that was in it. Yeah. See,
Uh-huh.
I read the book.
Good thing. No, but are you like enjoying it?
I'm...
Like you wouldn't read it by yourself, but now that you're forced to read it, do you enjoy it?
It's not like every page I turn, I'm like...
So we were filming on my cousin's phone, and because he has a very good camera on his phone, and at 3.5 minutes it stopped recording, and we have been talking for like the last half an hour.
Yeah.
That's great. So, I gave a recap of the book. So, Punk 57 is about... Oh, Misha and Ryan, in grade 5, they were pen pals, and they've been talking ever since. They haven't ever seen a picture of each other, talked to each other. They don't go to the same school. They live a town over, 30 miles. And Misha, the boy, finds out who Ryan is, and he thinks that Ryan's being fake in the letters because she acts popular in real life, but when she talks, she actually has a personality. So he's angry about that, doesn't talk to her. His sister dies, then he ends up living in a park.
Yeah,
underneath an
amusement park. We didn't even talk about that before.
I was kind of mentioning it, saying he doesn't live with his dad anymore, but I didn't think it was that important, you know?
You're pretty good at this.
Me? Why? Don't get discouraged. I had asked Ethan about music.
Yeah. So my opinion on the whole, because I'm a musician, if that's not in the 3 minutes that we recorded before,
It's
which it
not.
isn't. Nice. It's still recording?
Still good? Woo! Okay, talk about your music.
So I'm a musician. I've been playing music since I was in probably grade 6, and I'm now 18. I'm in grade 12, and I plan to go on to music in college. Did you just gawk at me?
I wouldn't call it gawking. Anyway.
So I'm a musician, and I was looking at it sort of from the perspective of having played gigs and having been making money from playing music. And I think it's actually a pretty good insight as to doing like DIY gigs and just inviting people into your backyard and just kind of playing for people. It's pretty cool. It's a young person's perspective on writing their own music and writing their own lyrics, trying to work with other people, like how every once in a while he's like, man, I wish I could just be the bass player who doesn't have to do anything, because I'm assuming his bass player doesn't try very hard.
What does he sing?
So.
He's guitar and singer, right?
Yeah, and he writes all the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
But of course everyone else in his band is a little bit flaky in regards to things. So, yeah, it's a pretty good perspective on being in a band.
So, and you like the lyrics that he's writing because you think it suits him?
The lyrics are fitting. I don't like them because it's not my kind of music. I think he plays a bit of pop punk, and all of his lyrics are angsty, and some of them are well written, but they're just not for me. I think it's a good perspective on what he'd be writing.
I thought you were gonna absolutely crap on them.
Well, I don't like him, but it works. It's right.
What else were we talking about? Oh, I think we have your overall thoughts. Let's see. I wrote stuff down. He did not.
It's all in my brain.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing that Penelope Douglas does in a lot of her books is she mentions someone's listening to a song, but she says the title of the song.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of weird because I don't listen to music often, so
yeah.
I don't know any of the songs that she's talking about. So I kind of like I'm like, okay.
Yeah. In the last little bit of what we filmed before, I talked about how romance novels that are based on teenagers always tend to write things like to try and be as relatable as possible. And every time something like that happens, I cringe a little bit because it's like, you don't need to make me know, like, this is how they feel. Like, this is what they're listening to. It's like, she was walking down the street listening to American Idiot by Green Day. It's like, okay, I know what kind of music she listens to now, but there's other ways you could have done that than just been, like, putting out names so we go, oh.
Yeah.
I just find it annoying.
But you can think about, oh, I don't like that she puts a title in. But you can also think, if she didn't put a title in, say, oh, I put in the pop music into my ears, you would feel like you wouldn't be getting enough information.
I suppose, but, like, there's got to be, like, environmental ways of doing it. Like, if you're walking down the street and, like, let's say we're describing, like, Misha walking down the street. He put in his earbud and started singing along, and then we just put, like, little, like, lyrics that he's singing along with. American...
Really? You like it better that way?
Probably. I'd rather it than be like, he was listening to Green Day.
He's just testing out the sound quality.
Shut up.
I don't know how the sound quality is on my thing without the microphone.
I don't know.
Anyway, what else did I say? Oh, so at the very beginning of the book, before Misha's sister dies, she gets in a car. She's 16 years old. She gets in a car that she owns by herself. Where we live, you have to have your learners for 3 years before you can have an actual license. But in all of these books of teenagers, they have their license right when they turn 16. Because I feel like it's always adults that are writing them, and they had different rules when they were younger. Yeah.
I don't know how it works in the States, so that could actually be accurate. But
I'm watching The Fosters, and they, what are they called?
The Fosters.
No, the teenagers. The teenagers, they have to have their permit, they call it their permit, for a year. But then, I don't know, but that's still a year. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's weird. We live in Canada,
okay with it because it's a bit of just like a plot point. I'm not going to be like, they got this historical fact roll.
Oh, okay, so this is one thing that when I was reading it, it made me go like, it's when he licks her neck in the lunchroom and he goes, "You taste like shit." What'd you think about that?
Okay, for context, in case you haven't read the book and you just like Maddie's videos for whatever reason.
Zoe, my little sister, watches them.
See? Hi, Zoe. Let's just dox all of your friends.
None of them watch them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So basically, they're sitting in the cafeteria and Rian, thank you. Ryan, Roy. Sees Mason, or Misha, but he's going by Mason at the school right now.
Because he has a fake name because
he wants to run away.
Technically he's already ran away.
Pretty much, yeah. But he wants to actually leave
Boot scooting boogie.
That's how I would describe it actually. Yeah. Boot scooting and boogieing.
Yes.
Anyway, Rian walks up to him and wants to start a conversation with him, say maybe invite him to a drive-in movie theater, which I don't know how old Penelope Douglas is, but
she was inviting him to the drive-in?
Yeah. She walked up to him and was like, "Hey, I noticed that you're new here and you don't talk very much. I was wondering if I could get your number. Maybe you'll want to come and hang out at the drive-in with me and my friends over there."
Yeah.
And then he manhandles her by the legs and just pulls her down
in the lunchroom.
In the lunchroom in front of other people.
Can you imagine seeing that at your school?
I mean, I have my phone out pretty fast. But
see, but she says that.
Yeah.
She says that she's glad that nobody got like videos.
Yeah,
of it.
but then Lila made memes about it. It's a good thing that Penelope Douglas said memes.
Shut up.
What? It's a relatable book.
It's a good book. Don't be dissing on it with my
So he
Penelope.
manhandles her by the thighs, pulls her onto his lap, and just said, I don't know even what he said. He said, like, usually I like girls your age or something like that. But you, and then he licks her neck.
Yeah, all the way, and she doesn't move.
Yeah, and then he
She
goes,
doesn't flinch.
but you taste like shit. And then he pushes her off his chair
Onto her ass.
and walks away. Like, I understand being mad at her for, like, being a little different. You can't even be mad at someone for being different in real life.
I don't understand why he's so angry.
Yeah.
Because clearly, you act different at school than you do, like, in your head when you're talking to yourself, right?
Well, a little bit, probably, because I'm like, well, is this joke funny? I'm going to think about it first. Like, I'm not just going to spew it off unless I'm with, like, really good friends or if I'm alone with one or two friends.
By yourself?
By myself, alone.
You look in the mirror. You're like, you'll listen to this joke I heard. Okay, so, but I was thinking, so she's in her popular group at school, but she actually has substance, but she doesn't show it because she doesn't want to get bullied because she used to be bullied really bad. But I was thinking, if that was me, I would rather have no friends and be able to be who I want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can understand, like, not liking that, though, because it's really hard to, like, live through all of the monotony of just, like, going to school so that you can learn and coming home and not talking to anyone, like, not having an environment to be in. Oh, okay, thanks.
I've got my books.
See, because I'm in music, I have the band room where we pretty much all just hang out and drink coffee and talk.
I just drink coffee in my room alone.
And talk to a camera.
Yeah. What else do you have to say about the book?
Okay. No, you can go ahead first if you want.
So, what's his name?
Did that say Ask Ethan About?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm even in the script.
Oh, it's not a script.
It's not a script. I just wrote it.
So unless you want to hire me for acting, because I did like 6 acting classes.
Tony, cut that out.
Oh, Tony.
Tony's
Who's
our editor.
Tony?
What?
No, that. Oh shoot. So Misha is making fun of Ryan for reading Twilight and being obsessed with Twilight because she had said it in her letters to him, and he's bullying her for reading Twilight and how she doesn't talk about it like in her outside life, but she did in her letters, and that she was like super bullied in grade 4 and 5, and that's when she started reading Twilight. And it's so funny because I went through this like spout in like grade 5 or 6 where I just like I didn't enjoy hanging out with people at my school, so I sat by myself outside my classroom door and read Twilight, and that's when I first started Twilight. I thought it was really funny. Damn,
that literally proves the point that I had on that. So when I read that, I thought
the Twilight part?
Well, when I read the argument that she was having with her teacher for your information, the argument was about her having to read another book that came out in the 19th century.
Because she was slacking.
Because she was slacking on her book reviews. And so she had to write another book report.
The review was for her mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She had to write another book report, and her teacher says, you didn't put very much effort into this one. Read this one. And all of these books were about an older man falling in love with a younger woman, and there was, obviously it's a more complicated book, so there's plot surrounding it. And she was reading Lolita, which...
Have you read it?
No, but that's some bad, that's not good.
Why?
The book is probably great, but
What's it
the
about?
context is bad.
Ethan just explained what Lolita is about and the backstory, whatever. My last video, I read so many age gap
I know!
gap romances that were like so far apart.
Mm-hmm. Like father-daughter.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness, I don't think about that book anymore. No, but it's also funny because Twilight brings us all together. I love Twilight. The reason I got the idea to do this with like you is because Chandler Ainsley, one of my favorite book people, she did the Twilight, she called it Dumb Bitch Book Club, which is perfect, for Twilight with her fiance, I think, partner. And that's where I got this idea. And just see, Twilight brings us all together. Love it.
But no, you explaining how Twilight kind of gave you an escape when you were younger perfectly explains my point. I don't understand why Rianne or Ryan was mad or confused that Misha or Mason knew that she read Twilight and felt that way and wore an Edward t-shirt, because Twilight was big,
so popular,
like giant kind of big, and she in the book is the perfect age to have lived through that. For example, Maddie lived through that, read Twilight and felt the same way,
and I'm rereading it now. I'm almost
rereading
the end of
it
high
now,
school.
like the whole Team Edward team
Jacob. Sorry.
Oh,
What?
I just know him as the guy who goes, I don't want this shirt, and throws it on the ground.
And gets naked in front of Mr. What's his name? Mr. Swan, Chief Swan. What's his first name? Charlie? I think so. No, that's what we should do our next video on, is Twilight.
I'm not gonna read Twilight.
Ethan, it's
Can
so
we? Can I choose the next book?
Oh yeah, Ethan's choosing the next book for this.
I didn't know that.
I told you.
I didn't. I don't listen to you.
Anyway, but I just finished reading the first one like a month ago, and I didn't want to reread it again.
Yeah.
That's why I picked Punk 57.
But I don't understand why. Like she was confused. She was like, oh, how would he know that? That's such a deep and inner thing that Twilight got me into reading books.
She said, "Good guess."
Well,
like not in her head, she thought he guessed about it.
That was like a.
But even if it was a guess,
paragraph thing about how he couldn't have guessed that, but like
it was super popular.
I could have done that. Been like, did you read Twilight? Yes, or no. Then I'm not gonna go into this whole argument about how Edward's like 100-something years old and like grooming little Bella.
But I was thinking about that because that's what Chandler. What's his name? I'm awful. I literally watched another episode of it yesterday. Anyway, his whole thing was that Edward was grooming Bella because he's like 117, I think. But if you think about it, so Edward looks 17 for his whole life. So I feel like if you looked and you feel like a 17-year-old, you're not really gonna you're gonna get wiser, but I don't think you're gonna lose that childlike.
Yeah.
Right? I'm 17, he's 18, I still feel like I'm a 12-year-old.
I'm gonna be a 12-year-old until I'm like 80.
Like, can you even imagine you're going to university? Like, that feels so weird. It feels like such an adult thing.
Yeah, it definitely
But
feels
you still
like an
feel like a
adult thing.
kid?
But yeah, every time I like wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm a child.
I'm not
I
saying...
still do childlike
I'm
things.
not saying go out and date 117-year-olds.
Unless you're into that, just saying.
Unless it's legal and consensual. What else do you want to say about the book? How do you like that when they were pushed together? Like, not... Okay, that doesn't really make sense. But, like, the art room, when he just showed up, did you like that that's how they kind of...
Oh god, I hated
together?
that.
You think it could
I hated
gone
okay,
better?
the whole thing with Misha just suddenly becoming... I know it was 3 months in between,
yeah.
but that is 3 months where we could have had one chapter about him going, and then, so, like, when he sits down in the art room and she's like, who's that? And we're like, well, we know it's Misha because he's been grumpy lately.
But we know it's Misha.
We know it's Misha, or we're pretty sure it's Misha right now.
I knew
or
it was
it's
him
just
from
the
the
guy
beginning.
spray painting. Who might be Misha.
I don't think it's Misha.
Probably not, because he says it in his head.
I didn't think it was him, though, before he said it.
Yeah, but later he says, like, I'm not the guy doing that, even though he did spray paint some stuff.
Do you think that was him on the grass?
Yeah.
I think so, too.
Because
it wasn't signed.
Punk.
And it was the only one actually calling people out my name.
Yeah. So it doesn't follow all of the trends of the other ones. Anyway, I hated that Misha just suddenly got, where are you going?
I'll keep talking.
I'm going to keep talking. I hated that Misha got all mad all of a sudden, because it just felt like a cop-out for everything that happened in the 3 months leading up to that. It's just like, suddenly he's being an obnoxious ass. Like, he's not even close to nice. Like, when he gets that kid out of being...
But he was
gets
mad.
Manny, yeah, well, when he gets Manny out of bullying and everything like that, it was like, oh, this might be Punk. Like, this might be the guy. And then he starts, like, talking about things that only Rianne would know and acting like Misha would. But he's just such a, like, an idiot. He doesn't act like a normal person. And it's just, you don't need to do that. You don't like the way she is in person. I know there was 7 years of pen paling and you agreed not to see each other, but that's your own fault that you Google her and it is your own fault that you don't like her. That's the way she is in real life, and that's the way she's gonna be in real life.
It's not that she's faking all of her letters. How can you fake 7 years of letters? Like, obviously he's angry about it, and like anger and frustration makes you do things that you normally wouldn't do. But the fact that he thinks all of that those 7 years were a lie, and that letter that he was like fake writing before he burnt it, you read that where he's getting mad saying like, damn, that was so intense.
That was so stupid. Like, he just acts like he's just this evil entity, and he's not. He's just a kid. And, like, when he sees her in real life and realizes she's not the same as she is sitting in her bed, proofreading everything she writes, obviously she's going to be a little different, and she's hanging out with people. Find her alone. See how she acts when she's alone. Which you do constantly. She writes letters to you for 7 years.
Since they've been alone, the like 2 or 3 times they've been alone, it's been pretty bad.
Every time they've been alone, he's been sort of nice though. Like, okay, there's a few times where he's thrown her in a pool.
Out.
Well, yeah.
That's the only time to be nice to women. Is when their nipples are out.
Well, no, but he like when he sees her in person and he's like, oh, she's being kind of an ass to me. She's smart and she's able to defend herself.
But before she was an ass to him, he was bullying her.
Does he even realize that all of her friends are horrible people and she can't get normal friends because there's no normal people at her school?
But what I was thinking is that, so in her head, like what we read, Ryan, I'm going to call her Ryan, Ethan's going to call her
I'm going to call her Ryan.
Yeah. So Ryan, in her head, she talks about how she doesn't like Lila or whatever her name is, and she doesn't like Trey, who's the guy who's like pining after her, who's having sex with her best friend. Whoa, and only Misha knows. She doesn't know. Anyway.
Well, JD sort of knows because of the grass writing.
Yeah, but that's like, obviously Lila's gonna.
But then JD and him like high five after he was super mad, so that's kind of.
Wait, where was I going with that?
I don't know. You're welcome.
Well, I kind of went off on a tangent too. Misha be. Oh, okay. So Ryan in her head is talking about how she doesn't like her friends, but what if she never wrote that in her letters? That she didn't like her friends, so he doesn't know how that's like. Because there's no other way that he would be acting like this unless she didn't say that she didn't like the people who she was with.
The reason he says later that he's mad because all of this, like, she hates, like, the cheerleader, like, fake personality kind of thing.
She's a cheerleader?
Yeah, exactly. She hates all of that, and she puts that in her letters, and then he sees in real life that's what she's like.
Yeah.
And the reason later he realizes that she wrote all of that is because she doesn't like herself. She doesn't like the way she acts with her friends, but she can't control that because she's extremely socially anxious without being able to have some sort of following of people.
Yeah.
So she just follows people that she can't, which are dumb people. So.
See, I think Penelope Douglas does that really well, is that she makes her characters really relatable because everyone's felt that at a point. So you like the characters more. No, what I was going to say is that I'm really curious to see how she's going to make Misha into a good guy again, like make Ryan and Misha go back together. Because right now, Misha, he can book it out of there. I don't like him right now, but all of her books, the main love interest is an ass the whole time. But then when she brings them together, you're like, aw. So I'm wondering how she's going to do that for this book.
I think the whole point is that it's going to be like, oh, they hate each other, but they're hot. So, like, I feel like it's going to happen for like 6 more chapters before they go,
I just want Ryan to find out who Misha is, like that's him. I know this one part, it's not really a spoiler, because clearly they get together at the end. That's what the book is. But I read this somewhere, and I don't know why, I feel like it's been talked about so much, is that at one point in the book, Ryan and Misha are in the principal's office, and Ryan's sitting on Misha's lap, and when the principal walks in, she has to get off his lap. That sounds like progress, doesn't it?
I don't like that. I don't want to read that. No, I think just Misha needs to stop being an ass. He doesn't need to be. He's so angry.
But he's angry with life that he's taking it out on.
Yeah. Oh. I got a thing to talk about.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Are you okay?
No, this sucks.
Don't sit. Here, I know, you're breaking my bed.
When Misha breaks into her house, breaking and entering into a person's home is
I don't
actually
think it
his
was
first
breaking.
idea. Well, entering a person's home
Yes.
without permission.
1 charge.
Home invasion.
2 charges.
So when he enters her house and he's sitting in her room and she walks in and goes, "What are you doing here?" Rather than turning around, calling the police and exiting her home because the person who doesn't talk to the point that she thinks he's a sociopath is sitting on a chair in her room. This is dumb. She's supposed to call the police. She's supposed to not go, "What can I do to get you out of my room?"
And she shuts her door.
I know!
With her and the potential murderer.
Yeah.
In her room.
Like, she shuts the door so that her sister doesn't see there's a boy in her room.
And
the boy in her room is a sociopath.
Yeah, and we've seen, like, after what happens when she says that, he can clearly overtake her so easily. He, like, tosses her onto the bed.
Yep.
And then calls her the "see you next
Tuesday." Yeah, are we allowed to swear on this?
I know. It depends. Like, I don't mind saying normal swear words. Just that word is a little too much for my little brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. So kind. No, the thing that I find annoying is when he's sitting in the chair and she already hasn't called the police and she's saying things like, "What can I do to get you out of my room? How did you get in here?" And he's just like, "I just walked through the front door." It's like, yes, it's not that hard to break into someone's house. Why are you questioning him as to how we got in? You talked to him for 5 seconds and he humiliated you in front of your friends and then left. And those were the
insulted her.
Yeah, those were the only things that he actually said or, like, interacted to her with.
Yeah.
And so she's just sitting there like, "How can I get you out?" And obviously, he manhandles her, throws her on the bed in a thing that's supposed to make us go. Yeah, he chops her hair off and calls her the word.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that was really stupid. And then she just lets him go and talks to him like normal the next few times she sees him.
I think it's because only once has this been mentioned, but she thinks he's hot. Only once has it been mentioned, but that might be why she's
And only 300 times has it been mentioned that he's really into her physically.
And mentally, possibly.
Well, he likes her letters.
That he tosses away because he doesn't jack off to his little letters.
I think this boy has taken some interesting pills.
He's so strange.
There's something wrong with him.
I know, we're 25% into the book.
It feels like he, like, in the 3 months that he didn't write to her, he developed a crack addiction and, like, spends all of his income on spray paint.
That's good. No, I really liked the part, it was chapter 2, Ryan went to the amusement park. I really like that. I could just imagine in my head, like, her running through the amusement park and then going down into, like, I thought that was so cool, just the way that I imagined it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was okay. I thought, okay, reading the entire first, like, 3 or 4 chapters of the book felt like I was watching the intro to a really shitty horror movie. I swore. A really crappy horror movie.
We've already said it multiple times.
No, but, like, reading the beginning felt that way because I'm reading it because I think it's trash, but it's fun trash, just like someone might think my books are fun trash and romance novels are great.
Not even, like, people have opinions. If you like what you like, read it.
If you read Lord of the Rings and went, that's okay.
This isn't counseling 101.
No, but it felt like I was watching the intro to a trash horror movie, and I was kind of okay with it, because I watch trash horror movies with Maddie all the time. It is our favorite thing to do, because every time they walk in a room and they ain't supposed to be in there, we're like, you gonna get hit.
We know.
But, like, it felt kind of good, because it's just like, oh, this is just a normal setup. I know how this feels, I know where it's going, and then, I don't know, it just kind of got worse from there, in my opinion. It's a good setup.
I liked it. I don't know, I liked because neither of us have read it before, I liked the foreshadowing that happened about the girl dying on the side of the road, and it turned out that was Misha's sister.
Yeah, I liked that a little bit, just because it was a little different than people usually do it, and it wasn't just like, he was worried about her dying, and then he died. So Misha dies.
Don't spray it. Cut the spitting part out. Anything else you have to say about this book? We only read 6 chapters, so it's not that much.
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking forever about these stupid 6 chapters.
It's because we had to film for 30 minutes. It wasn't even filming.
Oh, can we talk about Trey for a second?
Trey is the boy, the bad boy who's going after Ryan by having sex with Ryan's best friend.
Yes. Trey is the guy who pictures women as trophies and wears an athletics jacket.
He's basic jock.
Yeah, he's just kind of your normal jock who is constantly chasing after women and doesn't.
He doesn't chase. He doesn't chase. He sits there and they come to him.
Oh no, he chases in the park in the dark. He chases a woman into the basement.
Physically chases.
Yeah, and 10 is just like, yeah, you'll have to catch us, Trey. Trey's like 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide. He's gonna kick the shit out of you if he catches you. Like, stop! But, no, I really need Trey to die. Does murder happen in this? I'm pretty sure.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, but doesn't the descriptions? I think I read the description and it was like.
You think Trey's gonna die?
I think so.
We should keep this in. This is like good.
I think there's death in this.
Well,
because
clearly,
in the description,
Anna's died.
correct me if I'm wrong. Why don't I just pull up the description?
Okay. Should we keep this in? I actually like that prediction.
We should keep the part where I'm looking through my Kobo.
That's it. The whole thing.
I mean my e-reader, not sponsored. Please sponsor us, because I'm getting the money too. I'm your YouTube channel.
No, I want Ethan to make a book.
31%.
Oh my goodness.
This is a short book.
It's only 250 pages, I think. I love Goodreads. My next video is going to be a book haul, but I'm waiting for my book outlet order to get here. So just pop that in.
Okay. We were perfect together until we met. Misha. I can't help but smile at the words in her letter. She misses me. In 5th grade, this is the beginning of the book.
What are you trying to read?
Is this really the synopsis? When I first read it, it was like we were perfect for each other until we met. And I thought it was going to be like, not we met each other and we hated each other. I thought it was like we met each other and now we crime.
It's not a crime book.
I want it to be about Bonnie and Clyde getting together and murdering.
I wanted to say something about Manny.
Yeah, the little boy.
Mm-hmm. So...
Is it recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Manny is some boy in the school. He's getting bullied because of Ryan by Trey, who is Ryan's
hunk.
Yeah, hunk.
Boy.
And Misha gets upset with her because he wants her to stick up for him. But that made me kind of mad that she didn't stick up for him, even though it was her fault. And the next day, he gets hit in the head with a football, and he bleeds.
Okay, but that part was like, I actually believed Trey when he was like, oh, that was an accident. But then he goes up to him and he's like, this time. It's like, dude, you just made him bleed from his ear hole.
Yeah,
like,
but
jerk.
I don't know. I feel like I would stand up and say something.
Yeah, Rihanna like really is sticking to her guns and being like, I can't stick up and say anything because then I'll have no friends. It's like, your friend just abused a child.
Why would you want to be friends with people who aren't nice? Like, she can't be nice because she'll lose her friends.
Yeah, I know. She's like in her own little bubble. It's not good for her brain.
Anyway, do you have anything more to say about this book?
Bad. No.
No?
I just don't like it.
You don't like it?
Well, I don't know. I don't like books like this. I'm biased.
You'll like it. Don't be biased. Let your inner romancer. I have nothing more to say. I'm going to say goodbye for this video. Unfortunately, the first 30 minutes that we didn't have recorded was really good. We talked about a lot during that 30 minutes.
Yeah, we probably missed a bunch of stuff.
So much. But we will be back with the next 6 chapters next week or sooner.
Whenever I read it.
Yes. Anyway, I will see you guys hopefully by the end of next week when I have all my books, because I have no other videos planned other than that. I will see you guys next time. See, I never know how to say goodbye. I always get really awkward.
See, I like when people use the end of the video where they're going, how should we say goodbye? And then that's when they cut it.